Protest Lagos State government distances itself from planned Oro Festival.
Okay, so there was a statement. This thing had been flying around about some Oro Festival, which ironically, I don't know whether by coincidence or by design, would be coming up within the time stipulated by the organizers that they wanted, that they are going to have these demonstrations. So that needs to be cleared up. Whether the Oro Festival had been decided long time ago and it's just a coincidence. If it's just a coincidence, what I would have, the government issued a statement yesterday and they likened Oro to other religious activities. No, sir, it is not, Mr. Gbenga Akoshile. I disagree with you. Because this Oro has some elements that involves movement of the public. So you can't just dismiss it and say it's like any Christian or Muslim. Certainly not. From Mr. Akoshile's statement, you would almost be want to believe that the government itself had a hand in it. And this talking down and arrogance on part of government officials is not going to help the government in the long run. It's not going to help the government. Akoshile said, no one questions the government when other religions hold their activities. People are not questioning this Oro. They have the right to have their Oro, whatever it is. Well, except that, of course, it infringes on part of, because when there is Oro, apparently you can't move around. Isn't that right?
That's right.
So you can't just dismiss it like Christmas Day when you can do what you like.
I think mainly women.
Mainly women, but I think it's also because I got caught in one Oro thing when I was in Oniru, Mujani. So yes, coming back from work late and so on and so forth. So don't dismiss it. Don't just dismiss it, Akosile. Don't just dismiss it like that. Give us an explanation. If it had been planned before, I would have thought the government would dialogue with the Oro people to say, listen, we don't want a crisis in the state. Can this thing be shifted? And I know that there is nothing that cannot be changed and cannot be shifted except the glory of God. That's what any responsible government would have done, rather than dismiss it and say that, we don't disturb Christians, and why would you disturb them? You need to look at the general peace. When it's time for elections now, you go around all the churches, mosques, asking people for votes and so on and so forth. Now you can't treat it in such a in such a trivial manner. This is a security situation. So tell me what Mr. Akosile should tell me what their security experts have told them. Should the Oro people now clash with the demonstrators? If that should happen, is that what we want? Don't forget that a lot of these demonstrators are going to be our own children. There are going to be a lot of youth, they are children, and we must protect their lives. So I expect a more robust response from the government. If it had been planned, we'll say fine. And besides, why do we think it wasn't planned? It wasn't planned ahead. Why do we think it was done deliberately? It happened during the elections. And all my life, I'm 70 years old in a few months from now. It's in recent times when this APC took over government that all these things like Oro have started happening all over the state. This is the practice of the politicians. And I told you, Sheriff, that there's a rush of appointing Obas where and unanimously. I think you were the one who appointed me the Oni.
No, you mentioned it yourself.
I thought you appointed. Yes. I will retire and remember who appointed me. And these things, politicians need to know that we will always exercise our free will to vote for those that we want to vote for, Oro or no Oro. You can't intimidate people. It's not right. And listen to what he says. He says that the same respect should be maintained for traditional rulers. They have the right. We respect them. I'm a very, very strong sympathizer of a traditional whatever. Indeed, I'm one of those who are fighting that it shouldn't be compromised. But it is more than that in this case. It says Oro Festival is like Muslim and Christian activities and has no business with Lagos state government interference. Mr. Governor had better step in. Okay? And he says that they have their rights. If anybody, he now says something. he now says something that opens the eye. You see, there, if you look at statements, you can always see what is lurking behind. This is what is quoted as saying, if anybody wants to protest, they should come out and carry out their rights lawfully by not disrupting the business activities in the state. We will not allow the peace of the state to be disrupted. No responsible government will allow it. What has Oro Festival got to do with this statement? Is he trying to imply that this Oro thing is part of what they want to use to truncate the demonstrations? So, Mr. Akosile, I've always thought, I don't want to go personal, but sometimes you have to. Because this is our state. And we don't want... A spokesperson should choose his words carefully, devoid of arrogance and showing a lot of respect for the sensibility of citizens of all shades. The government is the Lagos state government. It's not the APC state government. And therefore, my advice to Lagos state government is plead with the Oro people if it had been designed before, shift it. If this was done in a bid to stem the so-called demonstrations and whatever to intimidate people, then we shall all just sit down and wait and see what happens.